Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all for today's session. Which is going to discuss on applied mechanics. See, from today, I'm going to start new concepts. Which are very important for civil engineering competitive exams. In my perspective, any engineer should have a strong fundamentals. Okay. So that fundamentals you need to grab them from your primary education itself. Okay, you should be very strong in physics, you should be strong in chemistry, mathematics and all. So coming to especially civil engineering. Good morning Praveen. Yeah, good morning Srinivas. See, coming to civil engineering, so in your BTech first year itself, so you will come across these basic sciences like mathematics, physics, chemistry. Okay, engineering mechanics comes under, like, it's a professional subject. Okay, so it won't comes under the basic sciences, but engineering mechanics is a main important subject, right? So which is gonna use for all the civil engineering subjects. Okay, you should know the mechanism of engineering materials, mechanism of structures. Okay, mechanism of, you know uh, different things in engineering background. Okay, so that's why engineering mechanics plays a vital role in understanding better, okay, all subjects in your civil engineering. So that's why I'm going to start this mechanics parallelly. After completion of this, we are going to start with strength of materials and structural analysis. See, we discussed the design of steel structures in terms of exam point of view. Exam point of view in the sense where I have to complete the syllabus, and we are supposed to write external examinations in this. So in that way, we have gone through deep into the subject and discussed a lot of concepts. We have solved a number of problems in all based on external exam point of view, like in a form of a descriptive way. Right. Good morning, Anisha. Good morning. So in a form of a descriptive way. But today, the subjects which are going to deal from today, like engineering mechanics, strength of materials, and structural analysis. So these are all based on the competitive exams. So we will have a few shortcuts. We will have a good fundamental basics. Okay. So we are not going to do any derivations over here. So we are going to know the concepts from the grassroots level. So don't think that I may go in deep, okay, to make you understand better about the mechanics. Okay, so in all aspects. So from there you can understand how the strength of materials came into existence. What do you mean stress, what do you mean strain? So what are the main topics which involved in strength of materials, from where they came up with. Okay, so that all we are going to discuss it today. Okay, so I think this view is good enough, because I'm going to make a lot of classifications over here. So in that point of view, I made it into a landscape format. So I hope this format is good enough, okay, to even visually also, right? Okay, so let's start with engineering mechanics, I mean applied mechanics. So I welcome you all for today's class, right? So good morning Teja. Rest of all, good morning to everyone. Okay, so first we will try to know about what exactly the mechanics, and how the mechanics was classified into different streams, so which we are going to study them in your engineering subjects. Good morning Rajesh, good morning. So first we will have a discussion about mechanics. So how you define mechanics? See, mechanics, it's a branch of science. Okay, it's a branch of science. Because without having a physics knowledge, you can't able to understand engineering mechanics. So by that, it is a branch of science. So which usually deals with the forces. Okay, and so which are under both internally and external, and we are going to study their effect on the structure. Okay, so engineering mechanics. So we are going to deal with the forces. So forces, loads, so whatever it is, both are same. So the difference between load and force, so I want to let you know, because even in a lot of interviews, many students are not in a position to even differentiate the load and force. Okay, understand? So how we can differentiate load and force? The unit for load and force are both are same. Okay, so the difference is force is an applied by the object. Understood? So force is gonna applied by the object. So if I put any object on a platform, so that is going to exist a force, not a load. So but what about load? Load is applied on the object. Understood? So that is how we can differentiate the force and load. So what I am telling, force is applied by the object and load is applied on the object. So there is a slight difference between force and load. Okay, so in structures we are not applying any force. In structures we are going to apply the loads. Understood? Okay, so when you put any object on any body, okay, it will have some contact in between these two, so that contact creates some force. Okay, that's how we define force, which is applied by the object. Understood? So here in engineering mechanics, it deals with the forces which are acting both internally and externally, and their effect on the structure, how they are going to affect on the structure. So this is how we are going to understand the applied mechanics. So let me classify first how this mechanics was classified. So many of you know I'm taking these classes for better understanding of new budding civil engineers. Okay, you may think that ivanni maaku telusu kada, so why sir is discussing again and again, and don't think that, because I am making this class for the common civil engineering students, okay, who are from the first year, second year and all. So maybe even you require these basics when you are appearing for the competitive exams. Okay, right. So let me start up with how the mechanics was classified. See, mechanics was classified into three subcategories. The first one is, which is an applied mechanics. It classified into engineering mechanics. So because mechanics is a subject or a course which will be used by a lot of people. Okay, so here the mechanics which we are going to deal with in engineering is comes under the engineering mechanics, right? So here engineering mechanics we are going to deal with on a rigid bodies. What do you mean rigid bodies? Rigid bodies. What do you mean rigid bodies? Member won't have any motion, right? Any movement. So those bodies comes under the rigid bodies, right? And it again classifies into SOM. So what we are going to talk about, strength of materials. Strength of materials. Okay, so here we are going to deal with the deformable bodies. Okay, deformable bodies. And the next one is mechanics of fluids. Mechanics of fluids. So this is how mechanics was classified into engineering mechanics, strength of materials and mechanics of fluids. So I think these three which we are already gone through in civil engineering subjects, isn't it? Right. So in first year you are going to deal with engineering mechanics which focus on the rigid bodies. In your second year first semester you deals with the strength of materials which are focusing on the deformable bodies, right? And mechanics of fluids, so which is a fluid mechanics. So there are a lot of names for strength of materials, so we can call it as a solid mechanics also, right? Like not soil mechanics, it's a solid mechanics, right? So like materials of engineering, solids, so you'll have different names untai. Okay, so it all depends on the course which is dealing up with. And next again this engineering mechanics was classified into two categories. So when the body is rigid, right, so these rigid bodies are classified into two things. So one is statics, and the other one is dynamics, isn't it? Statics and dynamics. What do you mean statics? So static is also comes under the branch of engineering mechanics, so which we deals with the bodies under rest condition, isn't it? So we talk about statics, So where the body is under rest condition without any motion. So that's how we talk about the statics. So then what do you mean dynamics? So it's a branch of again engineering mechanics, so which deals with the bodies under motion. So this is without under motion, and dynamic is with under motion. I can write here in a simple way, rest condition. Okay, and dynamics are under motion, because this is the easy way where you can able to remember always, and you can keep it in mind, right? So that is how the statics and dynamics are classified. So you may ask me, sir, what is the difference between general mechanics and engineering mechanics? So the engineering mechanics, it deals with the external forces and their effects on the rigid bodies. So here generally mechanics is defined as a deals with the forces both internally and externally. But here in engineering mechanics, we deal with all forces which are acting externally only, okay, and their effect on the rigid bodies. Okay, so that's how the engineering mechanics was classified into statics and dynamics, which are under rest condition, which are under motion. Clear? Right. So next, coming to the strength of materials, how you define the strength of materials? So we all gone through the subject. Here it is talking about the deformable bodies, right? So it deals with the internal forces. See, your engineering mechanics, it deals with the external forces, but the strength of materials is deals with the internal forces which are caused due to the external forces and their effects on the deformable bodies. Understood? So I will write down clearly here as well. Engineering mechanics deals with the external forces. External forces in rigid bodies. Okay, and strength of materials deals with what? Internal forces. Okay, internal forces due to external forces. Okay, so that's why we call every time stress is defined as internal resistance to the external force. So that is how we define the stress, isn't it? So in strength of materials, it defines with the internal forces caused due to external forces, and their effect is going to be studied for all deformable bodies. Okay, so that is how we classify strength of materials. So now tell me how the strength of materials are classified. The strength of materials are classified into again two categories. One is plastic theory. The other one is elastic theory. See, when you study the concepts in these kind of classifications, so it is very easy to keep it in mind also, right? So the strength of materials was classified into two categories. One is plastic theory and elastic theory. What do you mean plastic theory? So here plastic theory is nothing but when a material is under plastic condition where the material won't regain its original shape and size. Okay, so here this plastic theory is gonna useful for understanding the collapse mechanism of the material. Understand? So here we are going to study the collapse mechanism of the material. Here in elastic theory, it is valid when the material is under elastic condition. We know that elasticity and a material which can regain its original shape and size. So here we are going to study its yielding mechanism. Understand? Plastic theory is talking about collapse mechanism of the material. Why? Because at that position, at that stage, your material won't regain its original position and it will have its ultimate load. At that ultimate load, the member will have a tendency to have a collapse. Okay, so after reaching its ultimate point, it gonna be fail. So by that, in plastic theory, we are going to consider all collapse anna lekapothe failure mechanism under. Okay, failure mechanism. But coming to elastic theory, it is nothing but yielding mechanism. Okay, so that is what the difference between plastic theory and elastic theory, right? So no need of a definitions. I think you all know what do you mean elasticity and what do you mean plasticity, isn't it? So that's how your strength of materials was classified. So that's what we are studying, stresses, strains, pure bending equation, shear stresses, everything based on the plastic theory, isn't it? So this, sorry, elastic theory. And coming to plastic theory, so even in design of steel structures, I spoke about the plastic theory very clearly, and we have calculated all collapse mechanisms of different beams and frames, right? So if you want complete information about plastic theory, because we are not going to deal with the plastic theory in our strength of materials, because in strength of materials here we are much talks about the plastic theory only. So sorry, elastic theory only, sorry Amma. So about plastic theory, you can just go through my YouTube channel Vamsi Krishna Basava, so where there is a big presentation on plastic theory, so which completely gives a clear picture about what do you mean plastic mechanism, what do you mean how to calculate the plastic load, I mean collapse load. Okay, so what do you mean plastic moment, everything was discussed in my presentation. You can just go through my YouTube channel, right? Okay, so let me talk about the mechanism of, I mean mechanics of fluid. So mechanics of fluids are classified into two. One is as uh, two ways. So here again it was classified into two. One is static fluids, clear, and next one is moving fluids. Okay, so where the fluids are at rest without any movement, isn't it? So there comes under static fluids, like same as like statics. So static fluids are which are at rest without any motion or movement. Moving fluids, so when the fluid is moving, or in having a motion. So what are the examples of the static fluids? So if you see, a boiler which consists a fluid, or any vacuumed cylinders which are consist a fluid. Okay, so like that, moving fluids. So all there are plenty examples like channels, pipelines, water flowing, they are all comes under the moving fluids. So here in engineering mechanics we are going to study about the both static fluids and moving fluids, okay, in terms of mechanics of fluids. Okay, so let me write here static fluids in the sense at rest. Okay, moving fluids are under motion. Understand? So this is how it was classified. So there is a small classification even in the dynamics. Okay, so let me differentiate here. So how the dynamics was classified. So your dynamics was again classified into two categories. One is kinematics, and other one is kinetics, right? Okay, then how can you define a kinematics and kinetics? See, kinematics is nothing but it also comes under the branch of dynamics, where the dynamic comes from the branch of engineering mechanics. Okay, so kinematics is a branch of dynamics, so which deals with the bodies under motion without involving or no kind of forces or energies which are applied on the object. Okay, so there will be motion but without having any involvement of forces, right? So that's how we can define the kinematics. Under motion, okay, so I can clearly write here without involving any kind of forces and no forces, right? Here under motion due to force, understand? So under motion due to force, it is not without, I mean without any force there is an motion, right? So that's how the kinematics was defined. Yeah, so what do you mean kinetics? So a lot of people, they may not able to differentiate properly. So here kinetics is a branch of dynamics, so which deals with bodies under motion which are involving forces or energies. Okay, so here we are talking about the dynamics in terms of deals with the bodies under motion, isn't it? Just under motion. Here a kinetics is it can be defined as the bodies under motion which are involving forces or involving with some of energy. Okay, so that's how we can define kinetics. So why? Because kinetics and kinematics both are defined from dynamics, right? So that's how we can differentiate this kinematics and kinetics in terms of both, uh, in terms of under motion. So here kinetics. So what is the difference between kinematics and kinetics? So both are under motion. Here no force. Here there is a force or energy. So then you can ask me, sir, what is the difference between a dynamics and kinetics over here? So dynamics is also in a under motion, okay? So which is subjected to force. Without force, here which is subjected to force. Kinetics also that. So here kinetics we can briefly define as it is a branch of chemistry or biochemistry, so where it is concerned with the measuring and studying the rate of reactions. So here in kinetics you are going to study the rate of reactions, so which majorly deals this kinetics word or a kinetics concept in chemistry or biochemistry related subjects. Ardhamoutunna? Because have you ever seen we used in our civil engineering about kinetics? No. We used dynamics, we used kinematics, we used statics. We never used kinetics in our engineering point of view. Why? Because kinetics is also a branch of a dynamics, but it mainly deals with the chemistry or biochemistry concern. Okay, so with the measuring and the studying the rate of reactions. Understood? So it deals with the chemistry or biochemistry related. Okay, so here the rate of reactions you are going to study with the help of this with kinetics. Understood? So that's how we can differentiate these two things. So one is kinematics and kinetics. Understood? So here the main aim is to derive the relation between stress and strains to find out the angle of obliquity in your strength of materials, right? So natural decay, yeah, exactly. So that is how this applied mechanics or engineering mechanics was classified. Clear? Understand? So I think this explanation is more than enough to better understanding about applied mechanics and how it was classified. Clear? Right. Let me put this. Right. Now we will talk about much more information on loads. Okay, chala important amma, right? So before that then we can go in deep into the what are the different loads and what are the different forces and all, right? So let me talk about first with the classification of loads, okay, in a very clear way. As I told you, how can we define a force? So force is an applied by the object and load is applied on the object. I think, right? So మీరు చాలా clear గా ఉండండి ఆ point of view, right? If you want, I can write it here, the difference between the force and the load. Okay. Yeah. So what do you mean force? How can we define force? Force is applied by the object. Clear? Right. Then what do you mean load? Applied on the object. Right? Okay. So now let me talk about much more about the forces. Then we will go. Sorry, loads, and then we will move on to the forces. Okay. Right. So let me first start with the forces. How the forces are classified. With small examples also we can able to define them. Okay. Right. Now classification of loads. Right? Okay. So chala deep ga manam we will try to understand this. See, basically loads are classified into main three categories. Okay, how? Right, so loads are classified with respect to time, right? Loads are classified with respect to direction, right? And they are also classified with respect to area. Understand? Okay, loads are classified with respect to time, with respect to direction, with respect to area. Okay, so if you understand this, then you can able to understand strength of materials very clearly, because many of don't know what load acting on the member. So if you know the load, then you can able to assess the internal resistance due to that load or due to that force. Understand? Okay, so now let me again classify how your loads with respect to time are classified again. What do you mean with respect to time? Based on the time your load was classified. So in which direction your load is acting, on which area your load is acting. Okay, that's how it was classified. So now let me write with respect to time how they are classified. So with respect to time, loads are classified as static loads and dynamic loads. Okay, understood? So loads are classified with respect to time based on the static loads and based on the dynamic loads. What do you mean static loads? As I told you, what do you mean statics? With no force, no motion, right? So here static loads are divided into two. One is, what is static load? Dead load, isn't it? So dead load is a static load because that load won't have any movement. And gradually applied load, so that is also a static load. Understand? Okay, so static loads are classified into two categories. One is dead load, other one is gradually applied load. What are the dead loads? All self weights comes under the dead loads, right? All self weight, material self weights, all comes under the dead load only, like self weight of brick, self weight of steel, self weight of concrete, self weight of all engine building materials comes under the dead loads. What do you mean gradually applied load? So when you are applying a load with some rate, can you tell me one example for gradually applied load? See, all of you, I mean, you all did a test on steel, isn't it? Tensile test on steel rod, right? Tensile test on mild steel rod. Kada andaram chesuntam. So what is the load you are applying over there? So there you are applying gradually applied load. So because once you see the rate over there, so you are applying load with some rate. Ante 1 kilonewton per second, 3 kilonewton per second, 10 kilonewton per second, or 50 kilonewton per minute. Ante enti? So the load which they are applying, I mean in tensile test of mild steel, we are applying load with some rate. So that is which is related to the time. So that's how gradually applied load is also comes under the static load, because you are applying load with some rate over here. Okay, let me write that with some rate. ఓకే, రేట్ అంటే పర్చేసింగ్ రేట్ కాదమ్మా, రేట్ అంటే ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ టైం. ఓకే, సారీ లోడ్ పర్ టైం, ఫోర్స్ పర్ టైం అంటే ఫోర్స్, ఐ మీన్ వాట్ ఎవర్, లోడ్ పర్ టైం అనొచ్చు. ఓకే, రేట్ అంటే రైట్ load per time. So that's how kilonewton per second, kilonewton per minute, that's how you can define the rate. So now again dynamic loads are classified into two. One is impact load, and other one is fatigue load. Right? Clear? One is impact load and the other one is fatigue load. So how can you define the impact load? So here, as I told you, gradual apply load is the load which is applying gradually with respect to time. Right? So it reaches the maximum load, definitely then it remains constant. So load will be remains constant after reaching its maximum value. So that is how the gradual apply load can be defined. Now tell me, what do you mean impact load? I think you all done experiment of impact test. So which is IZOD impact test and Charpy impact test. So there you are applying an impact load. What do you mean impact load? The load which act within fraction of time is known as an impact load. చాలా మంది అంటారు, కెన్ యూ డిఫైన్ ఇంపాక్ట్ లోడ్ అంటే, సార్ ఇంపాక్ట్ లోడ్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఎ సడన్ లోడ్ అంటారు. See, there is a difference, there is a difference between sudden load and impact load. So impact load, within the fraction of time, you can see observe the load with some particular distance. Okay, impact will always happens with some distance. Okay, so let me see, if I hit this bench from this height, will it break? No. If I hit this bench with some particular height, definitely it will break. Why? Because I am applying an impact load with some distance. Okay, so when you are applying load with some distance or with some particular height, so that load comes under impact load. But what happens to sudden load? See, sudden load is without having any prior information with respect to time or with respect to distances. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో దోస్ లోడ్స్ కమ్స్ అండర్ ద సడన్ లోడ్స్. అంతేగాని ఇంపాక్ట్ లోడ్, సడన్ లోడ్ రెండు ఒకటి కాదు. యాక్సిడెంట్స్ అక్కర్ సడన్లీ విత్ సమ్ ఇంపాక్ట్. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో దట్స్ హౌ వీ డిఫైన్ ఎ సడన్ లోడ్ అండ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ లోడ్. ఓకే, సో హియర్ ఇంపాక్ట్ లోడ్ is defined as the load which act within the fraction of time is known as impact load. Okay, so here impact load is with respect to time. So, and again you can also define this impact load as load is the static or impact, whatever it is. It is always better to consider it as an impact load, because right, so it gonna have some fraction of time. Okay, so here that is how the impact loads are going to be classified. And what do you mean fatigue load? What exactly the fatigue load? So fatigue loads are nothing but cyclic loading. అర్థమవుతుందా? సైక్లిక్ లోడింగ్ ఆర్ రిపిటేటివ్ లోడ్ అని కూడా అంటారు. ఓకే, సైక్లిక్ ఆర్ రిపిటేటివ్ లోడ్. ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటి? సో యా, గుడ్, రివర్సల్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రెసెస్, సైక్లిక్ లోడింగ్ ఆర్ రిపిటేటివ్ లోడింగ్ అంటారు. సో వాట్ యు మీన్ cyclic or repetitive loading? The best example is your railway track. So railway track is subjected to fatigue loads. Why? Because if you take the length of a track, the wheel will fall on the track and the continuous loading will be applied once till the train goes from the track. Okay, so there the reversal of stresses will happen. So we can define these fatigue loads in a different ways. See, it can be defined as the material so which is reduced to repetitive load is known as fatigue anachu. So the cyclic or repetitive loads on a member are called fatigue loads anachu. The material which is subjected to hammering load, load అనేది హ్యామర్ లాగా కొడుతూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట, టక్ 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 అని కొడుతూ ఉంటుంది. So that's how fatigue loads can also be called. See, lot of machineries in industry, they are all subjected to fatigue loads. Okay, they are all reversal of stresses ఉంటాయి దాంట్లో. What do you mean reversal of stresses? For example, if you take an member, okay, let me draw here on diagram. So when a member is subjected to lateral force, what happens? This member will bend, right? Okay, so when the same member is subjected to twisting like this, what happens? It will twist. So here bending is happening, here twisting is happening. So this is one type of stress. So where you are calculating the shear stresses or bending stresses or whatever it is. Here you are calculating torque, right? Understood. So let us take a member which is subjected to both like this. So here what happens, if you consider this as an axial, as a centroid, above the axis will be under compression, below the axis will be under tension. Avuna? So this is the common priority when a member is subjected to lateral forces. Above the neutral axis will be under compression, below the neutral axis will be under tension. We all know that, right? But when the same member is subjected to lateral force along with twisting, what happens? This tensile stresses or tensile force, tensile nature will go to top and compression will come to bottom. Kada enduko ikkada twisting kuda jarugutundi. So in twisting what happens, lower fibers will go to top and top fibers will come to bottom. So there is a reverse law of stresses happens. So this is how reverse law of stresses are defined. Okay, so fatigue loads valla reverse law of stresses jarutayi annam kada. This is one example. Understand? So this is how the fatigue loads also will be occurred. So which is cyclic loading, repetitive loading antaru, lekapothe చాలా different reverse law of stresses antaru. Okay, reverse law of stresses like this. This is how we can define the fatigue load, right? So the load which are acting number of cycles or number of repetitions are known as fatigue loads. So these loads, so which are mainly change according to direction or load intensity or both direction and load. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఈ fatigue loads అనేవి they changes accordingly based on direction వల్ల చేంజ్ అవ్వచ్చు, లేకపోతే బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద లోడ్ ఇంటెన్సిటీ వల్ల డిఫైన్ అవ్వచ్చు. ఓకే, ఆర్ sometimes both. Okay, so that is how the fatigue loads are classified. Clear? Andarki ardhamaindamma? Right? So that is how the static loads and dynamic loads are clearly defined. So now let me talk about loads based on the direction. So this is the biggest classification. Why? Because the direction of load is very, very important to understand what type of load it is. Okay, so that's how this is very important classification. So I will try to write down the classification of load with respect to direction in a other sheet, separate sheet lo draw chestanu. Let me talk about the with respect to area. Okay, so then the direction will be explained in the other sheet. Okay, endukante ikkada space saripodhu because I want to give more clear clarification on this. So let me talk about with respect to area. So with respect to area, your loads are classified into two. One is concentrated load, isn't it? And the next one is distributed load. And then right? So based on the concentrated load and distributed load. So that is how the loads are classified with respect to area. So again tell me how your concentrated load was classified. As the concentrated load was classified into point load. So the load is acting at a point, at an instant point. And the other one is concentrated moment. Okay, so what is point load? So point load is nothing but member which is subjected to load at particular point. Clear? So what do you mean concentrated moment? The moment which is acting at a particular instant, right? So that is how the point load and concentrated load was defined. I think you all know this. So let me talk about distributed load, where the distributed loads are classified into three categories again. What are they? What do you mean distributed load? Uniformly distributed load. Avuna? UDL antam. Uniformly distributed load. What is the next one? Uniformly varying load. Isn't it? Right? And uniformly distributed moment is also there. కానీ మీరు చాలా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ యూనిఫామ్లీ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ మూమెంట్ మీద చేసుంటారు. బట్ సో దెర్ ఈస్ యూనిఫామ్లీ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ మూమెంట్ ఆల్సో, ఓకే, వేర్ ద few structures are subjected to like this. So UDL stands for uniformly distributed load, uniformly varying load, uniformly distributed movement throughout the whole beam. Okay, so that is how your loads are classified with respect to area. Clear? I don't think you need diagrams for this because you already studied them in your strength of materials when you are dealing with the shear forces and bending moments. Clear? Right? So that is how the loads are classified based on the time, and loads are classified based on the based on area. Right? So now let me explain brief about with respect to direction. ఎందుకంటే అది కొద్ది పెద్ద క్లాసిఫికేషన్. లెట్ మీ డ్రా ఇన్ ద అదర్ షీట్. ఇక్కడ వరకు అర్థమైంది కదా అందరికీ? ఓకే, దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఆఫ్ లోడ్స్. సో లెట్ మీ పుట్ పేపర్ అసైడ్. ఇది రఫ్కి ఉంచుదాం. కెన్ హ్యావ్ దిస్ ఫర్ రఫ్. ఓకే, సో నౌ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు డైరెక్షన్, how it was classified. So with respect to direction, your loads are classified as two. One is a normal load, the other one is a shear load. Okay, what is that? Normal load, other one is shear load. Okay, right? So these are the two loads, how where your load was classified with respect to direction. So let me write clearly how the normal load was classified. See, your normal loads are classified into two categories. One is axial load and the other one is eccentric axial load. Axial load, the other one is eccentric axial load. Right? So we see all these loads in your problems. See, uniformly distribution moment ante enti em ledamma. So let us take a beam. So it will have moment throughout your beam, okay, which is distributed uniformly throughout the length of the beam. So there will be only the moments. So once you are talking about UDL load, the UDL load which is distributed uniformly throughout the beam, isn't it? So uniformly varying load, you are calling it as a trapezoidal load, like this, right? So this comes under the uniformly varying load, uniformly distributed load, uniformly distributed moment load. Okay, so why? Because there will be moment only acting on the beam which is distributed uniformly throughout the length of the beam. So those beams comes under uniformly distributed moments. Okay, Srinath, right? Right. So let me talk about normal loads, how the axial load and eccentric axial loads were again classified. So here these axial load and eccentric axial loads are again classified into two categories, where these axial loads are can be written like this. ఇలాగ నేను డిఫరెన్షియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. tensile load, right? And the next one is compression load. So by that, your normal load will be axial and eccentric axial, and axial load will be a tensile axial load, and axial load will be a compression axial load, isn't it? So eccentric axial load also will be a tensile load, eccentric axial load will be a compression load. Okay, so let me draw some diagrams to have a better understanding of axial load with respect to tension and compression. So this is an axial force which makes member to elongate, right? So this is an axial load which makes member to compress, reduction in its length. What do you mean eccentric axial load? Eccentric axial load, we defined a lot of problems on design of steel structures, right? So where the load will be with some so this is your load, okay, and this is your member, right? So this load, one will be the moment and the other one will be the through axial, right? So this force will transfer vertically downwards if it have a resist vertically downwards, సారీ నేను ఇక్కడ కంప్రెషన్ డ్రా చేశాను ఇక్కడ టెన్షన్ డ్రా చేశాను సారీ. సో దిస్ క్రియేట్స్ compression in the member, so which is going to be relates with the compression load. Here this load makes your member which is acting in its elongation. Okay, so this comes under tension under compression. Sorry, okay, please try to interchange this. So this is this one, okay, right. Only this one. So rest of all are same, having some distance from the center. Yeah. So what are the practical applications for uniformly distributed moment? See, that's what there is a load, but when you come to the practical what is that application, the best example is shaft. Okay, Anusha asked one question, sir, can you tell me one example for uniformly distributed moment? మీరు అందరూ షాఫ్ట్స్ చూసారా in your mechanical lorries? So there will be shafts like this. కదా ఇలా షాఫ్ట్ ఉండే తెలుసా, వేరియింగ్ షాఫ్ట్స్. ఇన్ దిస్ యువర్ member is subjected to moment. Clear? Exam, very good Rajesh. Shaft. Okay, that's how uniformly distributed moment will be there in the shafts, right? Okay, example for the uniformly distributed moment is shaft. Okay, Anusha, so that is how we gonna design some mechanical equipments under shafts. Why? Because shafts are subjected to rotation and in the sense twisting. Okay, so torque. So that is how shafts are subjected to uniformly distributed moment, right? Okay. So So here, as you are observing clearly, the load is with some distance. So this is called an eccentrical distance. So this eccentricity is making your member to transfer an axial force into a compression. So here this eccentrical load making this member to elongate. Okay, let us consider this member is fixed at this particular point. Okay, so when it is fixed at this particular point, definitely the resistance will be in this direction and the applied force will be in this direction. So this force will makes member to elongate. Elongate ante enti? Tension. Okay, so this makes member to elongate. That's how these are subjected to tension, eccentric axial tension. So this is eccentrical axial compression. Why? Because this load will transfer to this member with some eccentricity, and again this force will have a compression to this member. That's how this member will be subjected to compression. So by that it is called eccentric axial compression. This is eccentrical axial tension load. Okay, so that is how we can differentiate these two. Clear? Right. So that is what normal load. Simple gamma normal load ante entante the load which is acting perpendicular to its cross section. So that is what the meaning of an axial load or a normal load. Okay, so normal load enduko axial load ga classify ayindi ante normal loads always acts perpendicular to the cross section of the member. Okay, so when it is acting perpendicular to the cross section of the member, those loads are going to be called as an axial loads, right? So normal load ante eppudu load 90 degrees perpendicular ga untundannamata, right? Normal to the plane. Normal load ante the load which is acting normal to the plane ani kuda antaru. Okay, so next coming to the shear load. So how the shear load was classified? Shear load was classified into two categories. One is transverse shear load, okay, and the next one is eccentric transverse shear load. Eccentric transfer shear load. Okay, so that's how shear loads were classified. What do you mean transverse shear load and eccentric transfer shear load? Chund. Let us take a rod. Okay, one force will be like this and the other force will be like this. What happens? This force will transfer into the member. Okay, so where the member will shear like this. Right? So due to this external load which are acting on the surface of the specimen, the internal okay, so this is how the member will shear off. Okay, clear? So this is the direct transfer shear load. So where the member is subjected to shearing off. ఇప్పుడు eccentric transfer shear load అంటే ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటి? We have did lot of problems on this eccentric transfer shear load in terms of eccentrical connections. అవునా? So let me draw a member like this. Okay, right, and the load is acting with some distance somewhere here. Load is with some eccentricity, right? So then what happens to this? This member will shear off సో మనం చాలా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ చేసాం. వీ హ్యావ్ డన్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఆన్ దిస్ వేర్ యువర్ బోల్ట్ ఈస్ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు షియర్ ఈవెన్ ఇన్ ద ఎక్సెంట్రికల్ కనెక్షన్, isn't it? Okay, so this force is will be in terms of here the member will be in that way. Okay, and there will be shearing takes place here. Okay, right? So this is the shear, right? So with some eccentricity. So that's how we can define the normal load as an axial and eccentric axial, transverse shear load as transverse shear load and eccentrical transverse shear load. Okay, so for this example andarki nenu chupichanu, let me show you again where it is subjected to. So this is the example, right? See, you can see clearly here the bolt. Ikkada bolt kanpistunda, bolt hole, right? So here the bolt was placed like this kada. So bolt was placed in this direction. So this is the bolt which was inside, right? So the load is acting eccentrical load, ikkada act avutundi. So this force should transfer vertically downward into the column kada. So when this force is acting vertically, this force should transfer eccentrically. After transferring eccentrically, definitely this force should transfer vertically into the column flange, transfer avval. When the force is like this, when your bolt is like this, what happens to the bolt? Bolt will shear off. Bolt ekkada shear avutundi? Ikkada ee joint daggara shear avutundi. So that's what I drawn here, right? So this is how in this eccentrical bolted connections your bolt will be shear. So twisting ekkada jarugutundi ante no twisting umma Rajesh. Twisting will takes place when the bolt is on the plane of the member. I will show you that example also where the bolt will subjected to twist. Ikkada bolt twist avadu. In this example your bolt will be subjected to tension. Okay, why? Because this force will makes bolt to elongate, right? That's how bolt will have a tensile force. The other one is vertical downward where your bolt will be subjected to shear. So there will be only tensile force and shear force in this eccentrical connection. As you told you, twisting of bolt will takes place in these connections. Ikkada chudandi, this is the load. Okay, this is the load point. Okay, and this is the axis of the bolt group. So load will transfer vertically downwards into the column from this axis of the bolt group. This is the centroid of the bolt group. This is the axis of the bolt group. So when you apply force like this, how your bolt was? Your bolt was like this. Bolt ela undi, ila undi. This is the direction how the bolt was, and your load is like this. Now your bolt will be subjected to twist. Ila twist avute bolt. Every bolt will be subjected to twist. So here bolt will have a twisting force. Every bolt will have a twisting force. Which bolt will have a maximum twisting force? A bolt aithe having a maximum radial distance from the centroid of the bolt group. In this bolt group, this is the centroid of the bolt group. Which bolt is having the maximum radial distance? That bolt will be subjected to maximum twisting moment antam. Okay, so that's how here bolt should be designed for direct force. Why? Because force will always transfer vertically downwards which is one force. The other one is twisting force, which makes your bolt under twist. So అలాగా ఇక్కడ ఉన్న బోల్ట్స్ మనం ఒకటి ట్విస్టింగ్ ఫోర్స్ కి ఒకటి డైరెక్ట్ ఫోర్స్ కి డిజైన్ చేస్తాం అన్నమాట. దిస్ ఆల్ ఐ డిస్కస్డ్ ఇన్ ఎక్సెంట్రికల్ కనెక్షన్స్. Yeah, having more eccentricity. Okay, so not more eccentricity, every bolt will have a same eccentricity. The twisting is always depends on the radial distance. Srinath, okay, so ikkada load undi, anni bolts yokka eccentrical distance same. Okay, because all bolts forces will transfer from the center of the bolt group. It is depends on the R max and maximum radial distance anamata. So corner bolts are having maximum radial distance. By that, corner bolts will be subjected to maximum twisting. If you design this bolt, the other bolts will be automatically become safe. Okay, so that's how this is comes under the one type of eccentrical load. This is other type of eccentrical load. Here I am talking about the eccentric transverse shear load, where your load is here and your bolt is subjected to shear because of the axial shear in the member. Okay, load ikkada transfer avutundi. Clear, understood? So these are the best examples where your member is subjected to shear and member is subjected to transverse direct shear and eccentric transverse shear. అర్థమవుతుందా? Right. So I think these are the clear understandings of loads. Okay, classification of loads. అందరికి అర్థమైందా? See అమ్మ, మీరు ఈ విధంగా మీరు చదువుకున్నారు అనుకోండి, I think this is the best way where you can able to remember all the things. Clear? Right. Now let me talk about the different types of forces. Okay, so as I told you, there is a difference between force and the load, right? So now we discussed about the loads where which are applied on the object. ఇప్పుడు అన్నిటి మీద అప్లైడే కదా. So this is an applied load, right? These are all applied loads, isn't it? So this is applied load. We are all applying on the member, on a element, or on a object, right? So now let me discuss about classification of forces where we are going to apply it by the object. Okay, object ద్వారా అప్లై అవుతున్న వాటిని ఫోర్సెస్ అంటాం. Let me start with the classification of forces now. Classification of forces. Okay, right. So now let me classify the forces. As you know, what do you mean force? Force is applied by the object. But how can you define a force? Applied by the object and a force అయిపోదు. So we have to define a force very clearly. So force is defined as either push or pull upon an object, so which is resulting the object's interaction with another object. Oka object to unko object, okay, so interaction, okay, so that resulting interaction in between one object to other object in terms of either push or pull, so that we are going to define it as a force. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఫోర్స్ అంటే ఏం చెప్పాము ఇందాక? అప్లైడ్ బై ద ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అన్నాం. వాట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్? ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ వన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్, ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ వల్ల ఫోర్స్ డెవలప్ అవుతుందా? నో. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ బెంచ్, or this is the bench, right? So if I put another object on this bench, the interaction between this object and this object, అర్థమవుతుందా? ఈ రెండింటి మధ్య ఇంటరాక్షన్. సో ఈ రెండింటి మధ్య ఇంటరాక్షన్ ఈజ్ క్రియేటింగ్ ఏ ఫోర్స్ ఆన్ దిస్ బెంచ్. అర్థమవుతుందా? హియర్ ఐఎమ్ నాట్ అప్లైయింగ్ ఎనీ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ లోడ్. నేను లోడ్ అప్లై చేయట్లేదు. ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ పుట్టింగ్ అన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఆన్ దిస్ బెంచ్. డ్యూ టు ద ఇంటరాక్షన్ బిట్వీన్ దీస్ టూ ఫేసెస్, ద ఫోర్స్ ఈజ్ డెవలపింగ్. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో దట్స్ హౌ ద ఫోర్సెస్ ఆర్ క్లాసిఫైడ్. అర్థమవుతుందా? క్లియర్? సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ డౌన్ క్లియర్లీ హియర్ in a simple way. Force is defined as push or pull upon object, okay, with what? With interaction with another object. With interaction with another object. ఇలా మనం ఫోర్స్ ని డిఫైన్ చేస్తాం, రైట్? ఓకే, సో నౌ లెట్ మీ స్టార్ట్ అప్ విత్ ద క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఫోర్సెస్. ఓకే, forces are classified into two categories. One is contact force, contact forces, and the other one is non contact force అంటారు. non-contact force. It can also be written as action at a distance అని కూడా అంటారు. అంటే ఒక సర్టెన్ డిస్టెన్స్ నుంచే దాని యొక్క ఫోర్స్ ఉంటుందన్నమాట, రైట్? సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ వాట్ ఆర్ ద కాంటాక్ట్ ఫోర్స్ అండ్ వాట్ ఆర్ ద నాన్ కాంటాక్ట్ ఫోర్సెస్ కూడా రాద్దాం ఇప్పుడు. ఓకే, సో నౌ let me explain what are the contact forces and what are the non-contact forces, right? So the first one, or it was classified as frictional force. Frictional force anedi contact force or non-contact force? Contact force. Why? Because it is an interaction between one object to other object, so which is applied in a form of a friction. As I told you, so when I put this object on the bench, the friction between these two is also called as a frictional force, okay, or contact. The second one is, let me explain one by one in a very clear way. First, let me write down the forces. Tension force is also a contact force, because without contact you can't apply a tension into a member. And the next one is normal force, right? And the next one is air resistance force, right? And the next one is applied force, and the last one is spring force. Spring force can also be called as a compression force. ఓకే, మీరు అడగచ్చు, సార్ స్ప్రింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఎప్పుడు కంప్రెషన్ అయినా దేర్ వోంట్ బి ఎనీ టెన్షన్ ఇన్ స్ప్రింగ్? ఈజ్ దేర్ ఎనీ టెన్షన్స్ ఇన్ ద స్ప్రింగ్? స్ప్రింగ్స్లో టెన్షన్స్ ఉంటాయా, ఉండవా? ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? Springs will design for only compression? Springs will design even for the tension also? Yes or no? Tension ko design chestara springs ni? Yes, we do design of springs even for the tension also. Enduku? Best example, if you see the spring there at your bike stands, cycle stands lo springs untai, avuna? Meer eppudaina stand esara, bike stand gaani cycle stand esaru, at there the springs will be there. So that spring is subjected to tension, isn't it? So there the springs are subjected to tension. So by that, springs, majority of the springs are used under compression. Why? Because we are using springs as a, like a shock absorbers, okay, in your vehicles. So but at few applications springs are also subjected to tension, where they are going to be used under tensile forces also. Okay, అర్థమవుతుందా? అందువల్ల ఎక్కువగా స్ప్రింగ్స్ మనం కంప్రెషన్ గానే ఎక్కువగా యూజ్ చేస్తాం. ఓకే, that's how they are much classified as. And let me talk about the non-contact forces, which are action at some distances. That is gravitational force, isn't it? So gravitational force is a non-contact force. Without contact, your earth gravity is pulling you towards it, isn't it? So that's how the gravitation force is a non-contact force. Next one, electrical force. Electrical force is also a non-contact force. Why? Because you have seen lot of accidents. So if you are very close to huge electrical wires, it will pull you, isn't it? So it will pull you without even you personally go and touch the wire. So why? Because electrical force will have a non-contact force which can pull it. It can pull. The next one is magnetic force. I think you all know about the magnetic force, how the magnet will attract different metals, right? Yeah, electronic static force. Very good. Electrical force is nothing but electronic static force, and next one is magnetic force. So magnetic force, due to this magnetic action, due to this magnetic field, it gonna attract a lot of metals, okay, into it. So that's how the non-contact forces are defined. So now let me explain you one by one what is frictional force, what is tension force and all. Okay, so first I will start with any force. Like, let me talk about the applied force. What do you mean applied force? Applied force is nothing but an applied force is a force So which is going to applied to an object by a person or any other object. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, ఈ బెంచ్ ని నేను ఇలా with my hand, if I try to pull the bench, right? So what type of force it is? It's an applied force. Why? Because with my application I am pushing the bench and I am pulling the bench. అర్థమవుతుందా? So if a person push the bench or pulling a bench, so that means there is a pushing apply force is applying on the object. ఇది రెండు కాంటాక్ట్. Without my contact to the bench I can't pull or even I can't push. So the applied force is the force which is exerted on the desk by the person. Okay, so those forces comes under the applied force. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఒక బెంచ్ పైన ఒక పర్సన్ వల్ల జరుగుతున్న ఇంటరాక్టివ్ ఫోర్స్ ని we called as an applied force, right? So next, what do you mean normal force? ఎందుకంటే టెన్షన్ ఫోర్స్ గురించి, కంప్రెషన్ ఫోర్స్ గురించి నేను చెప్పనక్కర్లా, because you all know. So tensile force which makes member to elongate, compression force which makes member to compress with the application of force at its section, right? So what is normal force? So the force which is normal is the support force exerted upon an object. ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటి, నేను ఇందాకే చెప్పాను. ఇప్పుడు ఒక బెంచ్ ఉంది, దీనిపైన నేను ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ పెట్టాను, రైట్? సో దిస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఈజ్ అప్లయింగ్ ఫోర్స్ టువర్డ్స్ డౌన్వర్డ్ డైరెక్షన్, రైట్? And this bench is applying force towards upward direction, right? So these two forces, one is due to this downward and this bench force is due to upward. So this is how the normal force will exerted. Example ade, if a book is resting upon a surface, then the surface is exerted an upward force. Okay, so those kind of forces comes under the normal forces. Inka best example cheppali ante, ఇప్పుడు ఏదన్నా వాల్ ఉందనుకోండి, మీరు వెళ్ళి వాల్కి ఇలా ఆనుకున్నారు అనుకోండి, ఓకే? సో ఇఫ్ యూ రెస్ట్ ఆర్ ఎనీ పర్సన్ లీన్స్ ఆన్ ద వాల్, రైట్? ఇఫ్ ఎ పర్సన్ లీన్ ఆన్ ద వాల్, సో మై ఫోర్స్ ఈజ్ అప్లైడ్ ఆన్ ద వాల్ అండ్ ద వాల్ విల్ హ్యావ్ ఎ రెసిస్టెన్స్ విచ్ ఈస్ పుషింగ్ మీ, కదా? పుషింగ్ అంటే పుష్ చేయదు, విల్ హ్యావ్ ఎ రెసిస్టెన్స్. అదర్వైజ్ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్, ఇఫ్ ద వాల్ ఈజ్ నాట్ హ్యావింగ్ ఎ రెసిస్టెన్స్ టువర్డ్స్ మై force which I am lying on the wall, what happens? I will fall. So by that, normal force is the one when a person leans against a wall, the wall pushes horizontally on the person. So that is how the normal force can be defined in terms of contact force, right? And the next one is frictional force. I think you all know what do you mean frictional force. Frictional force is nothing but the force which is exerted by the surface as an object which moves across or makes an effort to move across it, kada? Oka slope member paina oka object anedi emoutundi, if it is having a very smooth surface it will slide it on. If it is having very rough surface, rough em chestundi, roughness will create lot of friction which will arrest the object at that position itself, even though there is a slope on the slide. Okay, so that's how frictional forces are a force which are exerted by the surface which makes an effort to move across it. So where the frictional forces are classified into two things, where it is going to be like a sliding and static friction. Ardhamavutunda? So the frictional forces can be defined like this. Not defined. So the frictional forces are developed, one in terms of sliding, the other in terms of static friction ani antaru. As just now I told you, sliding, when it slides takes place, so when the body and the surface is very smooth, definitely it gonna have sliding because of no friction on it. Okay, so static friction, so even though it is a slope, so if the friction is more, definitely the member will rest at that particular position. Okay, so that is how the frictional force can be defined. And let me know, what do you mean air resistance force? Air resistance force ante entamma? The best example for air resistance force, can anyone? What do you mean air resistance force? Best example cheppandi evaranna. Air resistance force ki evaranna example cheptara? Air resistance force is also one type of frictional force, avuna kada? Isn't it? Air resistance force is also one type of frictional force. Is also one type of is also one type of frictional force which is acting upon objects as they travel through air. What is the best example? Can anyone? The best example is all your aircrafts. Okay, aircrafts kanivandi ante any object which is traveling through air. Parachute diving. Yes. What else? Can I parachute diving కన్నా బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను చెప్తాను, స్కై డైవర్స్. మీరు ఎప్పుడన్నా ఎవరైనా పర్సన్ స్కై డైవింగ్ చూసారా? ఓకే, సో వెన్ ఎ పర్సన్ ఈజ్ డైవింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఎ పర్టికులర్ హైట్, స్కై డైవింగ్ చేస్తున్నారు అనుకోండి, ఒక ఫ్రమ్ గ్లైడర్స్ నుంచి స్కై డైవింగ్ చేస్తుంటారు. సో హౌ ద పర్సన్ ఈజ్ ఫ్లోటింగ్ ఆన్ ఎయిర్, ఫ్లోటింగ్ ఇన్ ఎయిర్. ఎయిర్లో ఎలా ఫ్లోట్ అవుతున్నాడు? బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్ విచ్ ఈజ్ యాక్టింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ డౌన్వర్డ్ డైరెక్షన్. కింద నుంచి యాక్ట్ అవుతున్న ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్ వల్ల ద పర్సన్ ఈజ్ ఫ్లోటింగ్ ఇన్ ఎయిర్. ఓకే, సో వేర్ ద పర్సన్ ఈజ్ హ్యావింగ్ ఎ స్కై డైవింగ్ ఆర్ ఏ డౌన్ హిల్ స్కైయర్ అంటారు వాళ్ళని. ఓకే, బర్డ్స్, బర్డ్స్ ఆల్సో. సో లైక్ దిస్ ఫోర్స్ అగైనెస్ట్ ఏరోప్లేన్. వెరీ గుడ్. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ best examples for air resistance force. Okay, clear? So that is how examples I can write here. So one is skydivers, aeromissions. Aeromissions ante anni vastayam, aeroplanes, aircrafts, rockets, gliders, all aeromissions, everything will comes, and downhill skiers, everything, they are all comes under. So it is more noticeable here, the object that travels at high speed. Okay, so here the frictional force through air, so when it travels to the high speed, ఎప్పుడైతే ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ హై స్పీడ్లో ఎయిర్లో ట్రావెల్ చేస్తుంది అనుకోండి, ఫాలింగ్ ఆఫ్ స్టార్స్ ఫ్రమ్ స్కై, ఈవెన్ దట్ ఆల్సో ఫాలింగ్ ఆఫ్ గ్లేషియర్స్, ఫాలింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఏమంటారు వాటిని, మెటీరాయిడ్స్, ఫాలింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద స్కై. సో ఇలాంటి చాలా, దే ఆర్ ప్లెంటీ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్. ద ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్ can be calculated and how it can be defined. Okay, so ఇక్కడ ఒకటి చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఇన్ ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్ డెవలప్ అవ్వాలి అంటే యువర్ మెంబర్ ఆర్ అన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ షుడ్ ట్రావెల్ విత్ ఎ హై స్పీడ్. అంతేగాని ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఉంది, ఇదంతా ఎయిరే, రైట్? ఈ ఎయిర్లో ఇలా వెళ్తుంది, ఇప్పుడు ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఉన్నట్ట? నో, యూ కాంట్ సే దట్. సో వెన్ అన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఈస్ ట్రావెలింగ్ ఇన్ ఎయిర్ విత్ ఎ హై స్పీడ్, దెన్ ఓన్లీ ద ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్ విల్ కమ్స్ ఇన్ టు పిక్చర్. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో దట్ ఈస్ హౌ వీ డిఫైన్ ద ఎయిర్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఫోర్స్, రైట్? అండ్ కమింగ్ టు టెన్షన్ ఫోర్స్. టెన్షన్ ఫోర్స్ అంటే ఏంటమ్మా? ద ఫోర్స్ which is transmitted through a strip or a rope or a cable. Tension forces examples enti? When you are pulling a rope or cables in your cable stayed bridges, suspension bridges, right? So they are all comes under, because there some pulling is acting in it. So by that, when it is pulled tight by the forces which are acting on opposite direction, they are all comes under the tension forces, isn't it? So next, what do you mean compression force? Compression force అని ఏం చెప్తాం? The best example for the compression force is spring. So the spring force అనొచ్చు, so which is exerted by a compression or spring upon object which is attached to it. Okay, so that's how the magnitude of the force which is directly proportional to the amount of member or a compression of the spring. So that is how we define the compression force on the member. So which forces which are acting towards the member makes that member to reduction in its length. Okay, so that is how we define the compression force. Got it? So now let me talk about the other forces which are the gravitational force, electrical force and magnetic force. So magnetic force, and you all know, due to the magnetic field. Electrical, and as Shrikant told, due to the electrical resistance which is acting from the thing. And the next one is gravitational force, the force of gravity, so which is exerted either by the earth or a moon or any other massive large objects. A gravitational force is not only for the earth, for every planet there will be a gravitational force. Moon is also having a gravitational force, at least zero anen cheppam manam. Okay, there will be few gravitational force, so which will attract by the body due to the massively large object, so which attracts another object towards itself. Okay, ఎప్పుడైతే ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇంకో ఆబ్జెక్ట్ని అట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తుందో దే ఆర్ ఆల్ కమ్స్ అండర్ ద gravitational force in terms of earth or moon or whatever it is. So all objects upon earth experience, so here we can call the force which is directed downward towards the center of the earth. Okay, there will be core of earth, right? Yeah, compression member ni strut అని కూడా ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పొచ్చు, కాలమ్స్ చెప్పొచ్చు. There are plenty examples for compression forces అమ్మ, right? So we are talking about gravitational force. So as earth core will try to attract the objects which are directed downward towards the center of the earth, isn't it? So we can define this force of gravity on earth is always equal to the weight of an object as found by the equation, because we all know the gravitational force which can be defined with the formula F is equal to m into g. ఇది అందరికీ తెలిసింది, force is equal to mass into gravity, right? So this is how we can define. So where weight can be defined as mass into gravity, la difference we can able to explain it clearly, right? So that's it. So these are the different types of forces classifications. So that's what I want to explain you guys about the classification of engineering mechanics, classification of loads, classification of forces. ఎప్పుడైతే మనకి ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ బాగా అర్థమవుతాయో, సో అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ద మెటీరియల్స్, అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ద బిహేవియర్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్స్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రెంత్ కానివ్వచ్చు, ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్స్ డిఫరెంట్ మెకానికల్ ప్రాపర్టీస్ లైక్ యునో డక్టిలిటీ, మెలియబిలిటీ, హార్డ్నెస్, టఫ్నెస్, creep, shrinkage, homogeneity, isotropic, you know, so like this. So these are all comes under the mechanical properties. To better understanding about this mechanical properties, you have to understand first how the forces, loads and you know, these are all classified. Okay, then only you can able to understand them clearly, right? Okay, so now let me talk about important things, important topic amma, which is I am talking about a unit. ఓకే, యూనిట్ గురించి మాట్లాడతాను ఇప్పుడు. వై? బికాస్ ఇన్ యునో వెన్ యూ ఆర్ డిఫైనింగ్ సంథింగ్, సో యూనిట్ ప్లేస్ అ ఇంపార్టెంట్ రోల్. ఓకే, సో యూనిట్ కానివ్వచ్చు, డైమెన్షన్ కానివ్వచ్చు, ఫార్ములా కానివ్వచ్చు, ఆర్ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ కానివ్వచ్చు, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్. ఓకే, ఇట్ ఈస్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. లెట్ మీ టాక్ అబౌట్ a few things. How can you define that in terms of physical quantity? How can you write a formula for the physical quantity? How can you write a dimension for the physical quantity? And how can you write a unit for that physical quantity? ఇలాంటి ఒక కొన్ని ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ చెప్తాను. సో బై దట్ యూ క్యాన్ ఏబుల్ టు డిఫరెన్షియేట్ వాట్ ఇస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ యూనిట్, వాట్ ఇస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ఏ డైమెన్షన్, వాట్ ఇస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ఏ ఫార్ములా. అర్థమవుతుంది, వీటన్నిటికి డిఫరెన్స్ మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది. చాలామంది యూనిట్కి, డైమెన్షన్కి, ఫార్ములాకి ఆర్ యునో ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీకి డిఫరెన్స్ తెలియదు. ఓకే, ఫ్యూ స్టూడెంట్స్. ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పబోయేటప్పుడు వీ క్యాన్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్ క్లియర్లీ. ఓకే, సో లెట్ మీ డిస్కస్ అబౌట్ యూనిట్స్ నౌ. So which is an important one. So then after we will move on to important concepts like other things like what is the parallelogram, what is triangles, how the triangles are classified, what is polygon, what is superimposition of forces, what is concurrent, non-concurrent, coplanar, non-coplanar, ఇవన్నీ గురించి మాట్లాడదాం. ఓకే, వేర్ ద ఫోర్సెస్ ఆర్ అగైన్ క్లాసిఫైడ్ ఇంటూ డిఫరెంట్ కేటగిరీస్. ఓకే, అవన్నీ మనం డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం ఇప్పుడు. So let me talk about the forces first. Sorry, units. Units. See, what do you mean unit? Unit ante entamma? Unit is representing something, isn't it? So units are classified into two categories. One is fundamental unit, the other one is a derived unit antaru. అర్థమవుతుందా? యూనిట్స్ కూడా టూ థింగ్స్గా క్లాసిఫై అయింది. One is fundamental unit and the other one is derived units. See, oka fundamentals ద్వారా వచ్చే యూనిట్స్ ని ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్ అంటారు. When your unit is derived from many things, okay, so they are all comes under the derived units. So let me talk about what are the fundamental units and what are the derived units. See, fundamental units ante enti? Fundamental units are nothing but which can be derived from one another, nor can they be further resolved into another components. Examples enti? Mass, length, time. MLT ఫామ్ అంటారు, అవునా? రైట్. మాస్ అంటే వాట్ ఈజ్ మాస్? ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ న్యూటన్ అంటారు, లేకపోతే కేజీ అంటారు, లేకపోతే గ్రామ్స్ అంటారు, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్. లెంత్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ మీటర్స్ అంటారు, ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎంఎం అంటాం, ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ సెంటీమీటర్స్ అంటాం, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్. టైమ్ in terms of minutes, in terms of seconds, in terms of hours, whatever it is, right? So that is how units are classified into fundamental units. So where the direct fundamental ద్వారా మనం derive చేసే units ని రాసే units ని fundamental units అంటాం, which are in terms of mass, length and time. They are all MLT forms. What are the derived units? The derived units are such as the physical quantities. అర్థమవుతుందా? డెరైవ్ యూనిట్స్ ఏంటి? ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్. అవి ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్, దే ఆర్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్ విచ్ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ఎక్స్ప్రెస్డ్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్స్. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఈ ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్స్ ద్వారా ఈ డెరైవ్డ్ యూనిట్స్ని మనం డిఫైన్ చేస్తాం with the help of this fundamental units. All these physical quantities of members, physical quantities of things are going to be expressed in terms of fundamental units. అన్ని ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్ని మనం ఈ ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్స్ ద్వారానే ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేస్తాము. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఓకే. Physical quantities are going to be expressed in terms of a fundamental units. Okay, unit of mass, unit of length, unit of times are all derived units, such as examples ఏంటి వీటికి? ఏరియా, యాక్సలరేషన్, ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్, ఫోర్స్, ఇలా లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ అనమాట. ఓకే, సో ఆల్ దీస్ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్ ఆర్ వెలాసిటీ, యాక్సలరేషన్, సర్ఫేస్ టెన్షన్, lot of I will try to explain you one or two few things how to derive the things anamata, right? So area, acceleration, force, ivanni physical quantities anamata. Ivanni we are going to express in terms of a fundamental units. How you are going to define area? Area is going to define as mm square or centimeter square or meter square, ila mana define chestam, isn't it? Acceleration, what do you mean acceleration? Acceleration is defined as what? Meter per velocity per time, isn't it? So velocity per time ante how we are going to define? Velocity in terms of meter and second square. Acceleration velocity by time. What is velocity? Meter per second by second, so which is meter per second square. And what is force? So force is directly kg ani rayachu, lekapothe kg meter per second square అని రాయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే న్యూటన్ అని రాయొచ్చు. సో ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి డిఫైన్ లైక్ దిస్. ఫోర్స్ న్యూటన్ అని డిఫైన్ చేయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే కేజీ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్ అని కూడా డిఫైన్ చేయొచ్చు ఫోర్స్. వై? బికాస్ ఫోర్స్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్ కాబట్టి. అర్థమవుతుందా? ఫోర్స్ అనేది ఏంటి? F = m × g. ఇందాక మనం చూసాం కదా. సో ఫోర్స్ = మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్. ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి డిఫైన్. నేను ఇప్పుడు ఒక చార్ట్ డ్రా చేస్తాను, సో వేర్ యూ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ, ఫార్ములా, డైమెన్షన్ అండ్ SI యూనిట్స్. సో అది నేను డిఫరెన్షియేట్ చేస్తాను ఇప్పుడు. ఓకే, ఐ థింక్ నౌ యూ అండర్స్టూడ్ వాట్ ఈస్ యూనిట్, వేర్ ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి డిఫైన్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్ అండ్ derived యూనిట్. ఓకే, సో derived యూనిట్, all those physical quantities are going to be expressed in terms of a fundamental unit only. Okay, so now let me explain about what do you mean dimension. యూనిట్కి డైమెన్షన్కి డిఫరెన్స్ ఉందమ్మా. చాలామంది రెండు ఒకటే అనుకుంటారు. డైమెన్షన్ ఈజ్ డిఫరెంట్. సో వాట్ యు మీన్ డైమెన్షన్? ద డైమెన్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనీ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ. ఈ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీని మనం ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేసేది ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ డైమెన్షన్స్ అనమాట. డైమెన్షన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎనీ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ ఆర్ ద పవర్స్ టు విచ్ ద ఫండమెంటల్ యూనిట్స్ ఆఫ్ మాస్, లెంత్ అండ్ టైమ్ హ్యావ్ టు బి రైజ్డ్ టు అబ్టైన్ ఇట్స్ యూనిట్స్. సో డైమెన్షన్స్ ఎప్పుడు యూజ్ చేస్తామంటే డైమెన్షన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ which are going to be expressed in terms of the fundamental units. So those are called dimensions. అర్థమవుతుందా? So I can write like this: dimensions of any physical quantity okay, to which fundamental units, okay, fundamental units and mass, length, time. So fundamental units have to be obtained, so that is how you can define the dimension. Okay, so dimension equation ante, ఏంటమ్మా, రెండు ఉంటాయి మనకి, dimension అంటారు, dimension equation అంటారు. Dimension equation is nothing but what? Dimension equation is the relation between the physical quantity and its dimension is called dimension equation. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీకి డైమెన్షన్కి ఉన్న రిలేషన్ని డైమెన్షన్ ఈక్వేషన్ అంటారు. ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీకి, ఓకే, ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీకి along with that dimension, physical quantity dimension రెండు కలిపి డైమెన్షన్ ఈక్వేషన్ అంటాం, which is expressed as f is equal to mLt⁻⁻2 అంటాం. Okay, the relation between physical quantity and its dimension is called a dimension equation. The dimension equation can be represented as in terms of force. Example అనమాట, f is equal to mLt⁻⁻2. ఏంటి mLt⁻⁻2? f అంటే ఏంటమ్మా, ఫోర్స్ ఎలా రాయొచ్చు, మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్ అని రాయొచ్చు. సో మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్ అంటే what do you mean mass is nothing but Newton or kg. ఓకే, m అని రాస్తాము. సో what is acceleration? velocity by time is L⁻⁻2. అలా ఫోర్స్ ని మనం డైమెన్షన్ ఈక్వేషన్ లో రాస్తాం. సో దిస్ is what the dimension equation. Okay, so now let me give up a small table where you can differentiate the physical quantity with respect to dimensions, with respect to systems. Okay, so before that let me talk about small thing which is types of systems of units. Okay, మనకి యూనిట్ సిస్టమ్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, వాట్ ఆర్ ద సిస్టమ్స్ ఆఫ్ యూనిట్స్ ఇక్కడ డిఫైన్ చేస్తాను. Systems of units. What are the systems of units, amma? As we know, CGS system, FPS system, MKS system, SI system. Avuna? Right? So these are the systems which we already know. CGS ante centimeter gram second, FPS ante foot pounds second, MKS ante meters kilograms second, SI system ante it's a standard units which you are going to follow, right? So now let me, as I told you, let me differentiate the things. కొన్ని ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ చెప్తాను. ఓకే, సో లెట్ మీ షో యూ ఫ్యూ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ హౌ క్యాన్ యూ డిఫరెన్షియేట్ ద థింగ్స్. ఇలాగ మీరు యూ క్యాన్ ట్రై టు లిస్ట్ అవుట్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ద క్వాంటిటీస్ అనమాట. సీరియల్ నెంబర్, ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ, ఫార్ములా, dimensions, SI units. Clear? నేను చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను బికాజ్ యూ ఆల్రెడీ నో దిస్. దీన్ని బట్టి మీకు డిఫరెన్షియేట్ అర్థమవుతుంది. చాలా మందికి ఫార్ములా, డైమెన్షన్, SI యూనిట్స్ ఏంటో డిఫరెన్స్ తెలియదు కదా, అందువల్ల రాస్తున్నాను. ఓకే, సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ విత్ ద సింపుల్ ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీ విచ్ ఇస్ ఏ వెలాసిటీ. రైట్, వెలాసిటీ ఫార్ములా ఏంటమ్మా? ఎవరైనా వెలాసిటీ ఫార్ములా అడిగారు అనుకోండి, మీరు మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ అని చెప్పకండి. ఓకే, ఫార్ములా ఈజ్ నాట్ దట్. వెలాసిటీ అంటే డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ బై టైమ్ ఈజ్ ఫార్ములా. డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ బై టైమ్ అని మీరు చెప్పారు అనుకోండి, దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫార్ములా. అండ్ హౌ కెన్ యూ రైట్ దట్ ఇన్ ఎ డైమెన్షన్ ఫార్మ్? డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి? విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు లెంత్. టైమ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇన్ డినామినేటర్, పైకి వస్తే t. Okay, t minus 1. And what is SI unit? యూనిట్ ఎలా రాస్తే డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ మీటర్, టైమ్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ సెకండ్స్. సో ఇలాగ మనం వెలాసిటీని ఫార్ములాగా డైమెన్షన్స్గా SI యూనిట్స్గా రాస్తాం. ఓకే, సో యా స్టాండర్డ్ ఇంటర్నేషనల్ ఫార్మాట్. అండ్ ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్ యాక్సలరేషన్. ఎలా రాస్తాం యాక్సలరేషన్? వెలాసిటీ బై టైం. చూడండి ఒకదానికొకటి రిలేషన్ ఉంటుంది. ఇఫ్ యు నో వెలాసిటీ దెన్ ఓన్లీ. ఎందుకంటే నేను ఇది ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నాను తెలుసా, చాలామందికి చాలా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్లో లైక్ AE ఎగ్జామ్స్లో వన్ క్వశ్చన్ ఒక 60 to 70% ఛాన్సెస్ డైమెన్షన్స్ మీద అడిగే ఛాన్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది. చాలా చాలా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్, బికాజ్ ఐ రోట్ RRB ఎగ్జామ్స్, వీటిల్లో కూడా కొన్ని ఎలక్ట్రికల్కి సంబంధించినవి వాటి మీద డైమెన్షన్స్ అడుగుతూ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ ఎనీ ఎగ్జామ్ యూ విల్ కమ్ టు నో, చాలా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్లో డైమెన్షన్స్ మీద కంపల్సరీ ఎగ్జామ్కి వస్తుంది అన్నమాట. చాలా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇది. ఇలా మీరు అన్ని ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్కి డైమెన్షన్స్ రాసి పెట్టుకోవడం వల్ల చాలా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్, బికాజ్ యూ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు క్రాక్ అట్లీస్ట్ 1 or 2 క్వశ్చన్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ అపియర్ ఇన్ యువర్ కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్. వెలాసిటీ అన్నిటికీ రిలేషన్ ఉంటుంది, మీరు ఒకటే నేర్చుకోవడం కాదు. యూ హ్యావ్ టు లెర్న్ ఫ్రమ్ బేసిక్స్. అన్నిటి నుంచి నేర్చుకుంటేనే ద బిగ్గెస్ట్ వన్ యూ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు అచీవ్. వెలాసిటీని ఎలా రాయొచ్చు? వెలాసిటీ వీ కెన్ రైట్ యాజ్ LT⁻⁻1 యాజ్ ఐ నో. టైం ఎలా రాయొచ్చు? T అని రాస్తాం. సో వెన్ ఇట్ గోస్ టు టాప్ ఇట్ విల్ బి LT⁻⁻2 అవుతుంది. అండ్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద యూనిట్? మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్. అర్థమవుతుందా? రైట్. సో వెలాసిటీ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్, ఎందుకంటే మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ బై సెకండ్ విచ్ ఈస్ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్. ఇలాగా మనం అన్నిటికీ రాయొచ్చు అనమాట. సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ ఫర్ ద స్ట్రెస్. స్ట్రెస్కి రాయనివ్వండి. బై దట్ యూ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్స్. సో బిఫోర్ నోయింగ్ ద స్ట్రెస్ మనకి ఏ పారామీటర్స్ తెలిసి ఉండాలేమో, ఫోర్స్ అంటే తెలిసి ఉండాలి మనకు, అవునా? సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ ఫర్ ఫోర్స్. సో ఫోర్స్ క్యాన్ బి రిటన్ యాజ్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఫార్ములా ఫర్ ద ఫోర్స్? మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్. F is equal to m into a. అవునా? మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సలరేషన్. వాట్ ఈస్ మాస్? మాస్ ఈజ్ m. యాక్సలరేషన్ LT⁻⁻2. LT⁻⁻2 is nothing but force. ఎలా రాయొచ్చు దీన్ని? kg ఇంటూ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్ అని రాయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే డైరెక్ట్గా న్యూటన్ అని కూడా రాయొచ్చు. అవునా? చూసారా, కేజీ మాస్, యాక్సలరేషన్ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్, అంటే కేజీ ఇంటూ మీటర్ పర్ సెకండ్ స్క్వేర్ అని రాయొచ్చు మనం ఫోర్స్ని. ఓకే, సో లెట్ మీ రైట్ ఫర్ ద స్ట్రెస్. మనకు చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ కదా అది, స్ట్రెస్. వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఫార్ములా ఫర్ ద స్ట్రెస్? స్ట్రెస్ అంటే డోంట్ టెల్ దాట్ స్ట్రెస్ అంటే ఫోర్స్ బై ఏరియా అని చెప్పకండి, బికాస్ stress is not just force by area. Stress is resisting force by area. Why? Because stress is always acts within the internal section of the member due to the external force. అందుకే నేను చెప్పాను ఇందాక, strength of materials is always deals with the internal resisting forces which are exerted by the external forces. Okay, so stress ని ఏం రాయొచ్చు అన్న మనం? resisting force by area. అవునా? రెసిస్టింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఇస్ ఈక్వల్ టు దన్ అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్, అది మనకు అందరికీ తెలిసిందే, రైట్? సో ద రెసిస్టింగ్ ఫోర్స్ విల్ ఆల్వేస్ బి ఈక్వల్ టు అప్లైడ్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఫోర్స్, దెన్ ఓన్లీ యువర్ మెంబర్ విల్ బి అండర్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం, రైట్? సో రెసిస్టింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఏం రాయొచ్చు మనం? MLT⁻⁻2 అని రాయొచ్చు. బై వాట్ ఈస్ ఏరియా? ఏరియా ఏమని రాయొచ్చు మనం? సో ఏరియా, సో విచ్ ఏరియా అంటే, సో విచ్ ఇస్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ద distance, L స్క్వేర్ అని రాయొచ్చు మనం, రైట్? L స్క్వేర్, ఎందుకంటే మీటర్ స్క్వేర్ కాబట్టి. ఇది ఫైనల్గా ఏమవుతుంది? ఇది ML⁻⁻1 T⁻⁻2. మీరు చూడండి, ప్రీవియస్ AE క్వశ్చన్ పేపర్స్ తీసుకొని చూడండి, చాలాసార్లు ఈ స్ట్రెస్ డైమెన్షన్స్ని అడుగుంటారు. మీరందరూ చాలా సింపుల్గా ఫోర్స్ బై ఏరియా అంటే ఫోర్స్ ఏంటి? మీటర్. ఓకే, సారీ, ఫోర్స్ అంటే ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎంలో ఉంటుంది, ఏరియా అంటే m² ఉంటుంది, ML⁻⁻2 అని రాసేస్తారు. నో, రెసిస్టింగ్ ఫోర్స్ గురించి మనకు తెలిసి ఉండాలి. ఫోర్స్ రాయాలి, ఏరియా రాయాలి. ఓకే, సో ఏరియా ఇస్ L² ML⁻⁻2 ML⁻⁻1 T⁻⁻2 అని మనం డిఫైన్ చేస్తాం. హౌ కెన్ యూ రైట్ ద యూనిట్? యూ కెన్ రైట్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ న్యూటన్ పర్ మీటర్ స్క్వేర్ రాయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే పాస్కల్ అనొచ్చు, లేకపోతే న్యూటన్ పర్ mm² అనొచ్చు, మీ ఇష్టం. ఏ టర్మ్లో అయినా మనం చెప్పచ్చు అనమాట. క్లియర్? right? So this is how we can write about the stress. Chala important amma. Inkoka example raddam, so which is based on frequency raddama. Frequency, what do you mean frequency? How you define frequency ante ente 1 by time period. This is what frequency. 1 by time period ante 1 by t. Okay, దీని ఏం రాయొచ్చు, m naught l naught t power minus 1 అంటే m0 l0 t power minus 1 is the frequency. Frequency unit ఏంటమ్మా, హెడ్జెస్. అడుగుతారు చాలా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్లో అడిగారు ఇది. ఓకే రైట్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ హౌ ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ క్యాన్ బి రిటర్న్. ఇంకేమైనా ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ రాయొచ్చా? మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇనర్షియా రాద్దాం. మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇనర్షియా, what is the formula for moment of inertia? Moment of inertia formula is I ila rasta. Okay, intensity with respect to this thing. So what is I? So which is intensity m l square t power minus 1. M l square t power minus 1 is the moment of inertia. Okay, and the moment of inertia unit is ఏం రాయొచ్చమ్మా, మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇనర్షియా కేజీ ఇంటూ మీటర్ స్క్వేర్ పర్ సెకండ్ అని రాయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే జౌల్స్ సెకండ్ అని కూడా రాయొచ్చు. మనం mm పవర్ 4 అని రాస్తాం కదా, ఆర్ ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ యూ క్యాన్ రైట్ ద మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇనర్షియా. ఇంకా చాలా ఉన్నాయి. ప్రెషర్, ఓకే, ప్రెషర్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఆల్సో స్ట్రెస్. ml పవర్ మైనస్ 1 t పవర్ మైనస్ 2. స్ట్రెస్ అన్న ప్రెషర్ అన్న రెండు ఒకటే. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ఫర్ స్ట్రెయిన్? స్ట్రెయిన్ ఈజ్ హ్యావింగ్ నో యూనిట్స్. అది కూడా రాసుకుందాం ఒకసారి. స్ట్రెయిన్ ఏంటమ్మా, చేంజింగ్ లెంత్ బై ఒరిజినల్ లెంత్. ఓకే, సో ఏంటి ఫార్మ్, m నాట్ l నాట్ t పవర్ 0. ఓకే, సో నో యూనిట్. సో ఇలాగా రైట్. అండ్ ద లాస్ట్ వన్ ఇంకొకటి ఎగ్జాంపుల్ రాసుకుందాం. వాట్ ఈస్ ద స్ప్రింగ్ కాన్స్టెంట్? సో ఈ విధంగా ఐ రిక్వెస్ట్ యూ టు ప్లీజ్ లిస్ట్ అవుట్ ఆల్ ద ఫిజికల్ క్వాంటిటీస్ దేర్ ఇన్ యువర్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ ఫార్ములా, డైమెన్షన్స్, ఎస్ఐ యూనిట్స్ రాసుకోండి. సో స్ప్రింగ్ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఏంటి? ఫోర్స్ బై డిస్టెన్స్. ఫోర్స్ బై డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే m t పవర్ మైనస్ 2 వస్తుంది, అంతేనా? స్ప్రింగ్ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఇస్ ఫోర్స్ బై డిస్టెన్స్ m t పవర్ మైనస్ 2. యూనిట్స్ ఏంటి? న్యూటన్ పర్ మీటర్, రైట్? సో ఇలా యూ క్యాన్ ఏబుల్ టు డిఫరెన్షియేట్ lot of physical quantities, formulas, dimensions and SI units. Okay, I request you, please try to list out all the things, then you can able to understand the things easily. Okay, so that's it. This is what about the units. Ardham avutunda? Yeah, so this is what I want you people know about these things. And what else, what we can discuss within the short time. ఇంజనీరింగ్ మెకానిక్స్లో చాలా కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇంకా. సో ఇన్ ద షార్ట్ టైమ్, ఇంకెంత టైం ఉంది? వాట్ ఇస్ ద టైమ్ నౌ? బికాజ్ ఐ కాంట్ సీ ఇట్ ఇన్ మై మొబైల్. కెన్ ఎనీవన్? వాట్ ఇస్ ద టైమ్ నౌ? సో బై దట్ వీ క్యాన్ కంటిన్యూ ఇన్ ద టుమారో క్లాస్. సో ఇన్ ద టుమారోస్ క్లాస్ we are going to discuss about what do you mean parallelogram, what are the different types of triangles, how the triangles are classified into relative lengths based and relative internal angles based, how the triangles are classified. And what is mean polygon, what are the polygon laws of forces, what is the superposition of forces, what is the coplanar, non-coplanar, okay, what do you mean vector, and what are the concurrent forces, what are the non-concurrent forces, what is Lami's theorem. So this all we are going to discuss in the tomorrow's class. Okay, that along with that we are going to discuss about some sectional properties also. Sectional properties ante how to calculate the areas, what are the formulas for the areas, what are the formulas for the center of gravity, what are the formulas for moment of inertia, what are the formulas for section modulus, what are the formulas for the radius of gyrations. Okay, this all we are going to discuss in the engineering mechanics only. ఇవన్నీ మనం డిస్కస్ చేసిన తర్వాత then we will move on to the strength of materials. Okay, I think these are the fundamental basics what every engineer or every student should make understand, then only you can able to differentiate. Okay, so tomorrow as I discussed we are going to discuss the laws of forces, everything. Okay, moment of inertia and ante, all we are going to discuss it tomorrow, right? So then we will move on to the strength of materials straight away. So till today's class, any doubts? ఎవరికైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయమ్మా ఇప్పటి వరకు? Any doubts? Oh, 12th walla? Okay then. So it's almost near. Any doubts? So because within 10-15 minutes we can't cover more topics. Okay. So we will discuss it tomorrow. What are the laws of forces and all. So any doubts? So please ask me now. And I am going to share this video in YouTube. It will be there in Facebook. And I will share this material as usual to your WhatsApp groups. Okay. WhatsApp numbers. Okay. So that's how you can get this material. Right. Any doubts, Amma? Anusha, Rajesh, Srinivas, if no one is there, Praveen, John, anyone? So if any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, so no doubts. Okay, any doubts, you can just put me in comment box. Okay, so I will try to clarify your doubts. Okay, so let's see you tomorrow in the same timing, 10:30 to 12:30. We are going to discuss more concepts tomorrow, right? Okay, Amma, thank you so much.